Hello, Danielle. How are you?
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine. What about you?
Good. I just have to take my dog out after this.
Oh, okay, okay. Sounds good. It sounds good. How are you in general? How are you preparing for your upcoming assignments for one championship?
Preparing a lot. I've been super busy this camp. I've been traveling a lot, training with my teammates and game planning, especially for my opponent. So it hasn't really been easy at all.
I can guess that. And of course, you have quite the assignment as you're taking on Jessa Khan on September 29th. And you will be competing for the inaugural one women's atomweight submission grappling championship. How how do you feel about that? Competing for the belt in one championship.
I feel pretty good. Sorry,
No
he's
worries.
snoring.
No.
Um, I wow, went from mysterious to like snoring. I feel pretty good. I'm sorry. He's distracting me. Um
What's his name, by the way? What's his name?
his name's Griffith. He's deaf, so he can't hear anything, but he can be obnoxious a little bit.
He's very cute, by the way.
Thank you. I'm in an interview. Okay, serious time. What was the question? I'm sorry.
So how is it for you to be competing for the championship in one?
It's been really cool. I'm 3-0. I've been the past year. I've only competed once this past year, and then last year twice for them. Every match and every experience has been new to me and has been a good experience. And I'm still learning a lot, and having this opportunity to be the first women's jiu-jitsu belt or competing for it and being the first champion that I'm looking forward to it's a great accomplishment to me. And it'll set stone and everything that I worked hard for.
And what about traveling across the world and competing in Singapore? Is it something that you have already got used to, sorry?
Yeah, so at first, it was still new to me because I never really traveled that far out of the country. The only place I've ever traveled to far was like Mexico. And then I stayed local in the US. But yeah, I adjusted to it pretty fast, but I would say like I like leaving kind of like a week before my match just to get used to the time change and everything. I learned that mistake my last match because I didn't arrive till like Wednesday night, and then I competed like Saturday morning. So that was a big switch up.
So I was about to ask you about the coolest thing in Singapore, but let's ask that later. About your latest fight, we saw that you, even though you didn't get to finish Ayaka Miura, you still overcame your opponent via decision. So do you think that the fact that you arrived later in Singapore influenced your performance on that occasion?
Kind of. I would say like, well, I wouldn't say like much of the time change or when I arrived a certain time, but my last match with Ayaka was a lot of people kind of ignored that I was going up her weight class. Like she was bigger than me, and it was in a ring, so I'm usually used to cage by now under one. And I felt like the rules were not as clear as they were, so even especially for this camp, I've been training mostly worst case scenarios in case like I'm gonna probably be the underdog, but in case I'm not favored at all, which I don't expect to be. I feel like, she's the world champion, and whatever guard pull, especially for jiu-jitsu, depending on how you guard pull, you can't just sit on your butt, which I agree with. I feel like you need to initiate a good guard pull or pass, whatever. I feel like with her, I think, she'll just get the okay. So I've been working worst case scenarios for everything.
This isn't going to be the first time you're taking on Jessa Khan. You already competed against in 2021. how much have you evolved as a BJJ artist, as a grappling artist since that first contest?
Yeah, so 2021, it sucks because I've also beaten really good girl competitors that are active still in the competing world. But also 2021 was also my worst like jiu-jitsu career record wise. You know, I most for that year, I probably was my first time sustaining like serious injuries from jiu-jitsu, and being able to kind of focus on one person per camp now, not multiple people. I feel like that's how I get better, and it's better for me, and I get to train at a certain rule set and scenario. Like this is going to be in the cage, so I have I have competed, or excuse me, I have prepared for Jessa since my last match with Ayaka, even before, because I thought I was going to go against her before. But I've been preparing for her since then, and I feel like when I compete against her again, I will show that improvement, and that just because you're world champion doesn't mean anything.
Of course, you expect things to go differently this time, but what do you expect from Jessa, you know, in your second contest?
I feel like she's gonna be really aggressive. I feel like, you know, she does really well when, so I did a lot of studying on her matches and also the girls she was fighting against, and I studied them as well, their reactions to her. And you know, if you just settle what she's giving you, she's gonna be strong from that. And if you give her pressure, she kind of breaks sometimes, and she has to go to other things when she's competing. So you know, watching her, especially with gi and no gi, all of her matches, you know, I feel like the pressure I'm going to put against her, especially in this scenario, the cage scenario, I think she'll try to be aggressive, or maybe use the cage to do a guard pull or something. You know, I would say for this camp too, I studied like other grappling matches to see like how the refs are favoring, or what they favor. And I feel like with her, she might, I don't think she'll shoot in for a takedown at all, because you need to either initiate a really good guard pull or a takedown to take your opponent down, but you don't get catches for that. So I feel like she might bait me to put her against the cage and pull guard, close guard on me, like Tammy did with Bia and against Tubby, and got the catch for the guillotine. So, you know, I've been playing with a lot of scenarios for this upcoming match. So I think she wants to play her game, which is the guard and K guard 50-50, which I'm more than happy to exchange with her this time. But I feel like that's where her game favors, and she wants to be settled in her game, and the goal is not to be settled in her game.
At this point in your career, do you have a preference between training with gi or no gi, or even competing with gi or no gi?
So that's a really good question. I've only been strictly training no-gi, especially for this match and my last few matches. I don't see any point of training the gi unless, you know, I like to challenge myself. I don't hate the gi at all. I wish I could like only compete no-gi for one and then do gi tournaments outside of one, you know, just to get more of the competitioning experience and push myself. So I would say the gi is definitely challenging, and you know, if you're really good at both, like that's really a good thing. But you know, I would say like the best no-gi grappler right now is Gordon, and he doesn't really focus on the gi at all. And you know, he's the #1 grappler. So these camps, I just been focusing on no-gi.
Would you like one to implement to add gi contests to their offer, which is pretty wide, to be honest?
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate on it, but if I'm gonna be an outsider and you know looking in, I feel like no gi is way more exciting than the gi. Um, Again, I don't hate the gi. I think the gi is it's a technical sport as well. I feel like, you know, you have to be smart. They make the right decisions in the gi, especially black belt. I'm talking about black belt level. And I just feel like, you know, a lot of people that want to watch the sport, they were more likely to watch no gi, like they watch my matches, than gi, because they don't understand what's going on or the mindset that's going on in the gi. So my opinion, I don't think one should, but you know, it would just kind of cater to the ones that compete for gi, not ones that not casual, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. It does make sense. Speaking of one championships offer, do you see a future in mixed martial arts?
I did, but right now I've been focusing on getting this title match with Jessa, and when I win, I will go from there and decide if I want to have a fight or two. I definitely want, there's some negotiations have to be talked about, but for my first ever MMA fight, I would definitely like to down the line, because that's kind of why I started jiu-jitsu, because I was getting bullied and I wanted to fight, but my old coach kind of like lured me to sticking with the gi and no gi as a kid. So there's definitely that thought. Eventually I would like to have like one or two fights, maybe more, but right now I'm just focusing on my no gi matches and accomplish getting the titles first.
It sounds good. It sounds fair. And ahead of your match on September 29th, do you have any last messages?
Like thanking my fans or something.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to share with us. I also saw your Instagram stories of when you were a purple belt. The caption that is read that you have already defeated a BJJ gi champion. That was very, very like, I like when I see a contest even in words.
Yeah. I like posting those things because I feel like, I don't know why, I just feel like, especially some girls in this sport they don't get taken seriously. It's more of a serious thing for, especially in MMA. I think if a girl looks a certain way in the fighting world, they're automatically underdog. They're automatically not taken seriously, which in some ways I understand. But, with me, it's like I Lily beat the last three girls, and I had a challenge. I went up a weight class my last one, and she couldn't put me away. She put me in her best, her rule set, her best game, and I took her back and almost choked her out. And I feel like just because I don't compete anymore in a gi or do tournaments, which I wish I could, but I can't. I'm being seen as less than my opponents, so it's just more motivation. But I just take that as like, I'm unknown, so I'd rather just surprise people, and I probably will never be taken seriously, and I'll just ride with that. But yeah, I have, in my upcoming years, I have beaten world champions, especially at a young age. So whatever.
Danielle, thank you very much for giving us a little bit of your time today. Best of luck with the upcoming contest, and hopefully I will hear again from you in the future.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This was fun.